For more on the day's big stories, I'm joined by the Daily Telegraph's National Affairs Editor and host of Campaign Confidential, 6 p.m. Sundays here on Sky News, James Morrow. James, great to see you. Speaking of that, you must have a bone to pick with Albanese because you thought this would be done and dusted, that program, in April. Now you've got to go all the way through to May.
We've got to go all the way through to May, but people are going to have a lot of fun every Sunday night at 6 p.m., bringing you the behind-the-scenes, what's happening in all the campaigns. But yeah, look, it's going to be a bit longer. I reckon it's not going to be until after the budget, maybe that following weekend, that we get a call for either the 3rd or the 10th. Indeed.
It's Champagne Telly on a Sunday. You're at 6, James and Danica at 7. I've got the Sunday Showdown at 8, Paul at 9, Royal Report at 10. It's well worth tuning in for. Now, the coalition's had fallen into a little bit of a hole this week. You had the Freshwater poll the other day showing a hit to their primary vote and Peter Dutton's net approval, of course, though I should note that hasn't really meant a resurgence for Labor. Cost of living and power prices certainly remain their Achilles heel. But you've written in the telly today that there is one thing that Peter Dutton should be focusing on if he really wants to clinch this election.
Well, yeah, and I mean, it's that he just needs to come up with a message about the cost of living and energy. We had a Redbridge poll in today's Daily Telegraph and in the News Corp papers today. It revealed that people blame Chris Bowen and Anthony Albanese for their high power prices. Now, you were speaking before, and they're speaking before about how the government is not even going to commit to lower prices now if they win a re-election in the next term, which is a far cry from the $275, which is now, completely gone with the wind. And instead, well, they're just going to hand us more of our own money back to make up for the high power prices we're experiencing. So Peter Dutton, he's running out of runway here. He needs to freeze on this issue. He needs to freeze Bowen, personalize it on Bowen and Albanese, say these guys are making your life more expensive. We will stop it. It's not just the nuclear. He has to figure out things to stop the renewables insanity that is driving the prices up in the here and now. Because nuclear, that's not here for 10 or 20 years.
Yeah, indeed. We had before in the political headlines the coalition saying now that they'll add questions to the citizenship test if they win the election, asking people about their attitudes towards Jewish people. The intent, of course, is to stop anti-Semites becoming Australian. Now, Germany did this last year. Potential citizens have to identify examples of anti-Semitic behaviour and answer questions about the Holocaust. I get what they're trying to do, James, but, surely if you want to become a citizen, you'll just lie on that question anyway, won't you?
Yeah, look, I mean, it feels like they're just trying to talk about things around immigration without having the really big, hard questions, which I think Australians are really calling out for, which is to talk about, the size of our migration intake. Yesterday, we had numbers out of the ABS saying that 200,000 people arrived in February on student visas. That's an insane amount of people. And if you tell me that that's not affecting the housing crisis, well, come on. I mean, does supply and demand mean anything anymore? But beyond that, also, we need to have a talk about the composition of our migration intake and whether or not, certain people are suitable to come into the country because, they have attitudes that are not just anti-Jewish, but also anti-Western. And I don't think, we should have any truck with that. So Peter Dutton is, good on him for trying to talk about this. And, sure, it's fine as far as it goes. People will lie about it if they are anti-Semites and they're determined to come into Australia anyway. And I don't know quite how that gets enforced retrospectively. But, that having been said, we're going to need to see some more talk actually about what the actual size of our intake should be. And I think people in, the community would like it to be a lot lower than what people in either party would like it to be.
Most certainly, but of course they're addicted to the tax that comes from having more people in the country. And of course it covers up a multitude of sins when it comes to economic growth. I mean, we haven't really had any economic growth in this country for the past 5 years or so, but we've covered that up with high migration, and they all get jobs that are in some way linked to the government, particularly the NDIS. It's not economic growth, it's just covering up the fact that we've actually been in a recession.